Hi everyone, Solar J here. Today I want to talk about a topic that is not super well covered on YouTube, which is resampling on Analog Rytm. I'm going to show you a couple of tricks that I use and some new cool things that are possible since the 1.7 firmware update. And I'm also going to show you how to resample instruments like guitar or whatever you want to put into the audio input. Without further ado, let's go. Okay, to start off, I made this very simple pattern, which uses 3 out of the 4 bottom pads. So I really like the VCO that is now here, this simple bassline, but if I want to use another VCO, I need to sacrifice one, or the snare, or if I put it here, they're gonna choke each other, so it's not really that I can play melodies or stuff like that. It's gonna be weird. So what we can do, we can resample the bassline, and that's quite straightforward. What we need to do is just go here, function no, you just discard what I was trying to do before, and as you see here, the input is rim shot or clap, which is good, and you can see it pumping there in the signal. So the way it works is that you can arm the record just by pressing yes, and this way you see there is a kind of threshold indicated by this little bar, and the moment the signal indicated by the black thingy on the left exceeds the threshold, the recording will start. In this case, if you look at this pattern, it doesn't really have a click or a signal at the beginning. So if I'm just gonna press play, it's gonna start recording from here, because here there is no signal. I'll show you what I mean. You see, it doesn't start from silence. It doesn't have silence at the beginning, which it's actually what we want. So let's discard this. And if you notice, something really cool happened, and this is the new update for 1.7. You can set now the number of steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 16 is the case, at which the recording will stop automatically. And I love this. Before, you had to do it manually and then trim, because if you wanted to be 16 beats, it was not really perfectly possible, because you had to put another trigger to stop it with zero velocity, for instance, if you had multiple pages. And it was a bit, I didn't like the workflow. Now it's so easy, you don't even have to think about it. I want a loop that is 16 beats, 8, 4, whatever, you can change it like this, and that's gonna just work fine. So another way to do it is just to, press play, maybe put also something else, and then press function yes to record, but you have to be on time. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And now it recorded something that should be a bit more, what we want. You can loop while you preview with function yes. So we have the silence at the beginning, which is what we want. Another way to do that without having to be exactly on time is to arm, having the threshold there. And now we put a trigger here, but we're gonna put like velocities to 0, so that there's still gonna be a little click, and I did it with a trigger condition so that all the rest is not affected. Maybe we make it very short, and the important thing is that when you press it, let's disarm this guy, function no. The important thing is that when it plays, you have a signal that exceeds the threshold. And as you could see, that's the case. I can just mute all of this to show you. You see that there is a signal exceeding, even if we don't hear much. Okay, let's go back to the previous pattern. I hope I remember. What was it? So this way, if we arm now, and we just press play, we have a 16 loop that also has silence at the beginning. has this little click at the beginning. If you're maniac about it, you can trim it with the amp later. But these are the two ways that you can resample. One enabled by the new update, which I love. It's basically quantized without having to trim the end. I mean, if you're someone that samples vinyls or someone that heavily relies on sampling for their production, you might be used to that. But personally, I hate being there and being super precise and finding I just want to have a loop that loops nicely, and this way, for me, it's a great enhancement. So now what we want to do, of course, we want to save it, and you save it as whatever. You can rename it later, and we choose one of these pods, the middle ones. And now we close this guy. We go here. We remove the synth. We only want to hear the bass. On this track, we put a trigger at the beginning. The loop is perfectly 16 bars. So we can mute the dual VCO. And we still have the same guy over there. We can even take this off and start playing with this guy. We just freed one of the precious bottom tracks by resampling it into this part. Another cool thing that the new update, when you record perfectly quantized samples, is that you can, take this new guy, just this, and you can basically tune it down an octave or tune it up an octave or even a fifth sometimes. And this will still, sound nice because it's playing at half of the speed, but it will still loop. Check this out. I put a trigger here. Here, remove this guy. Might be quite low. Add some harmonics so you can hear it maybe also without headphones. And this is another trick I want to show you, and you can also do it, You need to put another one. It looks a bit weird, but it still looks, it's not out of tune. If you put it a fifth up, also looks nice. This is only possible because it's exactly 16 bars, 16 beats. Then as you divide it, it's still gonna be consistent with the BPM of the project or the pattern that you started with. If you had to trim it a little bit off, you would hear like a weird clicks, something that it wouldn't work like this. I think it's pretty cool. So now that we've seen that we can tune up and down this sample as we like, we can also, experiment a bit with the triggers, because what happens when you select the track after recording, resampling something, it's basically, when you have all those white pads, it's basically assigning it to the sample slot. But what you can do, you can then modify this sample as much as you like. Now it's normal, and you can have it, at the end to be, 24 up. And have this only play, when you put the fill on, so it's quiet and doesn't have this weird thing. But the moment you want to have that weird thing, you can do press fill and have a variation in your pattern. Okay, enough with sampling on the grid and quantized. Let's now move to sampling an instrument. Let me grab my guitar. So what you have to do is to connect your instrument to the audio in. If it's stereo, of course, you connect to both. And now if we go in the resampling, you can see that by changing the input source to audio left, I have my guitar here. You see? And now you can actually press ARM here because, I want it to start recording when I just, start playing my guitar. And maybe we want it, a bit longer so we can play with it, select the part that we like the most. And arm it, C minor. Cool, it's here. I'll save it, Act 13, and assign it to this pad over here. Let's see how it sounds. You can make it longer if you like. And then, of course, remove the trigger in the second page to let the sample play more. What I notice is that it's always a bit late. So you can change a bit the initial. Yeah, you can have fun. Again. And again, like before, you can try to find weird retuning of the samples. You have the same sample somewhere else. Tune it below. With the live recording of the automation, you can have this kind of wah-wah effect. This brings me to the end of this video. If you liked it, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you next time.